Hello everybody and welcome to a fanfiction that is going to be different than all of them. This one involves something that's not in Star Wars, time travel. Yes, we have the world between worlds in Star Wars, but if you go in there, you totally change events, you take people out of things, so we're going to do it differently today, alright? We're bending the rules of everything, just because this is a concept I've wanted to explore for quite a while, so there's time travel in this, and it sends Anakin back to the Empire era. Now, Darth Vader and everything stays the same, so Vader's still there. It's complicated, but hopefully the story helps lay it out. I had a ton of fun writing it. It's honestly one of my favorite concepts I've done, one of my favorite stories that I've done, so I really do hope you enjoy. And yeah, hope it's not too crazy. Let's get right into it. Alright. Anakin stood with the Father inside of his temple on Mortis. Anakin was just shown his future by the Son in a vision. He saw pain, suffering. He saw himself kill Padme. He saw himself fight Obi-Wan, kill younglings. He was pure evil in the future, and the Father had an idea that would mess with the Force, and mess with time. But it may be necessary. In this scenario, Palpatine has changed the destiny of the galaxy, and of the Chosen One. Anakin was supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. And the Father decided it was his responsibility to let Anakin fulfill his true light side destiny. So he looked at Anakin and told him to fix what he destroyed. If Anakin succeeded in destroying the Sith, he would be brought back to a happy life. The Father tapped him on the head, splitting Anakin into two versions of himself, and Anakin was split into the future, while the other version of him stayed right there in the past. There were two of him now, one that stayed the exact course we see in the Clone Wars and the movies to become Darth Vader, and one that was now traveling through time and space, and eventually Anakin landed. He found himself on Naboo. He was laying down, fainted right next to the lake that he married Padme. He slowly got up, confused, and remembered most of what happened. He saw his future, the evil man that he becomes. Was he there now, in that future? Was the evil version of himself somewhere in this timeline? He grabbed his lightsaber and moved through the city of Naboo. This was the homeworld of Padme and Chancellor Palpatine, and as Anakin moved with his hood up, he saw no Republic flags, but rather a new black and white one. He continued along, confused as to where the Republic went, and he saw a holographic image of Palpatine. He was scarred, deformed, and under his face read the words, Emperor Palpatine. Emperor, Anakin wondered, and he also wondered why he woke up here. Then he looked to his left and saw what looked to be a tomb, and with the tomb, a mural. And as Anakin got closer, he fell to his knees, reading the name, Padme Amidala. Anakin felt tears as he understood now that he completely failed. Like his mother, Anakin knew that he failed Padme. Who stopped him? Who killed her, he wondered. Anakin opened himself up to the Force, and felt nothing but darkness. Where were the Jedi? Where was Obi-Wan? What was going on? He walked through the streets to get to a transport, seeing new versions of clones, and they had different voices. They were different sizes. No, these weren't clones. Where was Rex and the 501st? Were they okay? Everything was different, and Anakin felt like he was losing his mind as he got into a transport and took off for Coruscant. As the Imperial transport landed, a squad of troopers boarded it, led by an armored man, seemingly from Utapau. White skin, red lines on his face, and he ignited two sides of an unconventional red lightsaber, saying there was a Jedi on board. The man with the lightsaber said he would kill these citizens one by one until the Jedi revealed himself. Anakin was about to get up when a human male with long hair got up first. Anakin could feel his fear, feel the Force. He was a Jedi, and he was taken off the transport. Anakin watched as the dark side warrior talked into a comlink, then pocketed it. He turned to the Jedi and swiftly cut off his head. Anakin didn't even have time to help, and now he hid in his chair as the transport was taken to a new stop. What was happening? The transport flew to a spot that Anakin knew, outside the Jedi Temple. Finally, some answers. But as Anakin got out and looked to the temple, it was changed. Imperial banners were draped over it, and it was surrounded by heavy artillery and armored weapons. First, Padme was dead. Then the Jedi killed on the transport, and now no more Jedi Temple. The Republic had crumbled, and Anakin refused to believe he could have had any part in this. Then he felt something, a shift in the Force, as if someone was looking at him. Anakin looked to the top window of the palace. He couldn't see anyone, but he could feel them. Someone was looking down at him. In the Emperor's office inside the Imperial Palace, Darth Sidious looked to the ground. He felt a divergence in the Force, something he could not explain. And down far below, a hooded figure looked up at him, someone he recognized but couldn't quite place it. A Jedi? Couldn't quite see his face, but this was familiar. Palpatine closed his eyes for a moment, and when he opened them, the Jedi was gone. Anakin ran through the streets of Coruscant. He was completely freaking out now. He needed to talk to someone, figure anything out. Where was he? What was going on? How had this happened? And as he ran, he finally saw a familiar face. Senator Bail Organa, walking with Mon Mothma and others. Bail Organa walked past a group of stormtroopers and walked alone now to his home on Coruscant. He was just talking about the Jedi with Mon, wondering who could have possibly survived. He of course knew of Obi-Wan and Yoda, but were there others? And Bail turned to see someone that sent a shiver down his spine. Anakin Skywalker, the man Obi-Wan and Yoda said destroyed everything, stood in front of him. Bail reached for his hidden blaster, but Anakin simply put his hands up and calmly approached. Anakin walked up to Bail, trying to calm him. He was clearly beyond frightened, and Anakin figured he felt like he was seeing a ghost. Anakin tried, saying, "Bail, it's me, Anakin," and Bail fired at him. Anakin threw his blaster to the side, dodging the blast, and pulled Bail into a corner. Bail swore at Anakin, calling him a traitor, asking how he survived Mustafar, if he knew where Obi-Wan was. Anakin stayed calm, eventually doing his best to try to explain that it's him from the Clone Wars, nothing more. It was almost impossible to explain that he traveled through time, but he tried, and eventually, Bail calmed down. He knew very little about the Force, but seeing Anakin from 10 years ago, still young, not burned and destroyed, made him accept what was going on, and Bail brought Anakin into his senatorial quarters, where it was just the two of them. And after some time, Bail explained everything. How the Clone Wars ended after Anakin killed Dooku and Obi-Wan killed Grievous. But moments after the war ended, the Jedi Temple was attacked, and every Jedi died. The clones turned on the Jedi, and they were led into the temple by himself, Anakin Skywalker. At this point, Anakin could barely breathe, much less speak, but Bail continued, saying he found surviving Jedi, Obi-Wan and Yoda. The Jedi were killed, and Palpatine said they tried to kill him. From there, he turned the Republic into an empire, and Obi-Wan was sent to... Bail hesitated before saying Obi-Wan was sent to kill Anakin. This was a huge gut punch for Anakin. Obi-Wan would never. They were brothers. How could they fight? And Bail went on, saying that Padme and Obi-Wan arrived on Mustafar, where Anakin had been so consumed by the dark side that he choked and killed Padme. Anakin felt everything go numb inside of him, the visions he had. They were right on Mortis. It was all true. Anakin had done it. How could he fall so far? And then Bail explained that he was cut down by Obi-Wan. Anakin knew now that he failed completely. He turned on the Jedi, killed Padme, fought Obi-Wan, and then died on Mustafar. He had to find Obi-Wan, and after some hesitation, Bail told him where to go. Tatooine. But he didn't say why Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. Anakin thanked Bail, and prepared to leave for the dreaded Sand Planet. And on Tatooine, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi awoke in the middle of the night to nightmares. Not long ago, he fought his old friend Anakin Skywalker, now turned into the machine Darth Vader. Obi-Wan had thought that he was dead, and he could have killed him on that moon if it weren't for the voice of Qui-Gon Jinn in his head. He is the Chosen One, is all Obi-Wan could hear in that moment. And now, he could never sleep. The mixed voice of Anakin and Vader, telling Obi-Wan that Anakin was gone, rattled through his head. And as he sat up, the motion detector outside his home began to beep. Obi-Wan grabbed his lightsaber, walking to the door. When he got there, Obi-Wan realized that he imagined all of it. He was seeing a ghost, again, like he did on Mapuzo. The ghost of Anakin Skywalker stood in front of him now, and it looked more real than ever. Obi-Wan tried to brush him away, thinking he'd gone insane. But then, the ghost, Anakin, walked up to him, touching his shoulder and speaking. Anakin said, "It's me, Obi-Wan." And Anakin saw fear burning in Obi-Wan's eyes, fear just by looking at Anakin, and his former master went for his lightsaber, so Anakin yelled that Bail Organa sent him. Obi-Wan stopped, asking what Sith magic this was, who was he, and Anakin tried his best to explain everything. And after a few minutes, Anakin saw Obi-Wan go from fear to sadness. This was the Anakin he did remember, the Anakin from the Clone Wars. How had he fallen so far? And Obi-Wan spoke, saying he was broken from their recent fight. And Anakin froze, asking what that could possibly mean. Bail said the Anakin in this timeline was dead. And Obi-Wan realized that Bail did not know that Darth Vader was Anakin. Obi-Wan explained that Anakin survived and was in a full cybernetic suit. No legs, no real arm, barely even human. He was dead, from a certain point of view, Obi-Wan said, more machine now than man. And the two of them sat together, Anakin and Obi-Wan, master and apprentice, brothers, just like old times. But that moment could not last forever. Anakin said he was here to destroy the Sith, and he must start with this Vader. Perhaps there is still Anakin inside of him, otherwise he must die. Obi-Wan said he didn't know where to look, but Anakin did. It was him in the suit, after all. If he lost the battle on Mustafar, he would stay there forever, to remind himself of his greatest failures. And Anakin said that he must go there alone. He must confront Vader alone. He asked Obi-Wan, though, to find Ahsoka. Anakin said he knew she was alive. He trained her to survive anything, and he would need both Ahsoka and Obi-Wan if they were to destroy the Sith. And Obi-Wan said he would do what he could to find her, meet him on Mustafar after Vader is destroyed, and they will go after Darth Sidious. And Anakin went to Mustafar. From transport to eventually stealing a ship, he blasted off into hyperspace. When he finally saw the red planet, the darkness surrounding it was immense, and Anakin felt into the Force, felt for himself, and his eyes jolted open as he found himself in the Force. But this was not him. This was something beyond evil. This was Darth Vader. And inside his meditation chamber, Darth Vader awoke from a vision as he felt a presence he had not felt since... Quickly, Vader had himself repaired. Something was coming. Someone who should be long dead by now. And Darth Vader got fully into his armor, walking into the hangar bay of his castle. As he saw the hangar, a ship landed inside. Vader got down to the hangar floor and waited. Anakin landed his ship and looked out the window as a tall, menacing, dark figure emerged. Anakin jumped out of the ship and stood 10 yards away from Vader now, face to face with the worst version of himself. Vader thought this to be impossible. Anakin Skywalker was dead. He was Anakin Skywalker. Who was this imposter? And Anakin began to speak, saying he's from the past, but he was lifted off his feet immediately. Vader was choking him, quickly closing his throat. Anakin felt Vader's rage, and he pulled pieces of the wall apart to slam into Vader. Anakin fell to the ground, and both of them got up at the same time, igniting their lightsabers in unison. Amidst the swirling chaos of this distant lava planet, Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi from a different era, stood with his lightsaber ignited, its blue blade cutting through the darkness. And before him, the imposing figure of Darth Vader, the embodiment of his own tragic destiny. Time had folded upon itself, allowing Anakin to confront the very darkness that he had become. Anakin's eyes burned with determination. "I had come to stop you, to save you," he said. And with a swift, aggressive motion, Vader was hearing none of this. He lunged at his former self, crimson blade clashing against the blue one. Their lightsabers danced through the air, the sound of their clashing weapons ringing out into the castle. Anakin's movements were fluid, showcasing the agility and skill of his Jedi self, while Vader's strikes were deliberate, forceful, a testament to his dark side power. And Anakin's eyes never left Vader's mask, searching for any hint of himself inside of it. But Vader's mask betrayed nothing, maybe a flicker of conflict briefly entering his mind. He knew now he was fighting Anakin, the lightsaber form, the lightsaber itself, The feeling in the Force. This was him, and Vader was determined to kill his past self once and for all. Their duel raged on, neither of them giving an inch. Each strike, each parry, a reflection of their inner turmoil. Anakin fought to redeem his fallen self, while Vader fought to extinguish the last remnants of the Jedi that he once was. A test from Sidious, perhaps. None of this made sense, but he would kill Anakin. And with a sudden burst of the Force, Vader pushed Anakin backwards, sending him tumbling across the rocky terrain behind the castle. Anakin rose back to his feet after falling. He knew he had to try to reach the man behind the mask, but it may be impossible. And he watched as Vader floated down to meet him. Anakin attacked again, unleashing a flurry of acrobatic maneuvers, his lightsaber a blur as he attacked with a new ferocity. The sparks from their blades illuminated the orange night, casting eerie shadows across the land where Anakin had once become Vader not long ago. And in a final desperate clash, Anakin's lightsaber locked with Vader's, the two blades crackling with energy. Anakin stared into Vader's mask, his eyes pleading. "Look what you've become," he said. "What this Sith has made you into. Let me save you," Anakin cried out. And for a moment, time seemed to stand still. And then with a deep, anguished roar, Vader lunged again in anger, but he was unbalanced, and Anakin cut off the front of his mask. Anakin watched in awe as the imposing figure of Darth Vader crumpled to his knees, and he locked eyes with himself. Seconds felt like hours as Anakin stared at his worst nightmare, himself, burned, eyes yellow, holding anger, the dark side radiating off of him. And Anakin remembered his mission: destroy the Sith. Vader didn't even try to move as Anakin walked up to him, stabbing his blue lightsaber right through Vader's chest. Anakin saw Vader's eyes flicker to a thankful blue as he died where he once fell to Obi-Wan. Anakin cried as he watched Vader die. He wanted to join with him, but it became clear that he had to eradicate this darkness, and he saw a ship emerge from hyperspace and descend towards him. The ramp opened to reveal Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, and they saw Anakin standing over Vader. At this point, Ahsoka had no idea that Obi-Wan or Anakin survived. Ahsoka went and found her in the rebellion, and Anakin floated Vader's body into the lava stream, boarding the ship. Obi-Wan had explained everything, and Ahsoka now believed she saw Anakin in front of her. How this was possible, all three of them really had no idea. But one thing was for certain: they were the trio that would destroy the Sith, and they took off for Coruscant. Palpatine was the Sith Lord. Anakin knew now that he had spent years twisting Anakin into his weapon, and today he would die for it. And Darth Sidious sat in his office. He tried contacting Vader with no response. His presence in the Force was gone, replaced by something that Sidious did not want to admit. It was impossible after all. But as Sidious meditated, he heard screaming, blaster fire, followed by lightsaber swings outside of his office. He opened his eyes, and the doors were blasted down, and in walked Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka Tano, followed by Anakin Skywalker. How was it possible? So be it, Sidious thought as he stood up, grabbing his lightsaber. Anakin was in the middle of Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. They had no intention of talking. They were here to kill Darth Sidious. And without another second, the clash of lightsabers commenced. Sidious was a formidable foe, his mastery of the dark side of the Force allowing him to move with ease. He deflected their strikes effortlessly. His crimson lightsaber blade swept between the Jedi, and Anakin pressed his attack. His strikes quickly grew more aggressive, pushing Sidious back toward the large window that overlooked the Imperial city. Sidious fought back, hurling objects at the Jedi with the Force and unleashing torrents of lightning. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka fought valiantly, but found themselves increasingly outmatched by Sidious's power. Their lightsabers clashed with the Sith Lords, but they were not an even match after years away from true training. Sidious unleashed a wave of Force lightning that sent Obi-Wan and Ahsoka sprawling to the ground. Anakin, seeing his friends in peril, went into the depths of his own power, and with a scream, he channeled the Force, drawing strength from his love for his friends and determination to end this once and for all. His blue lightsaber became a blur as he launched relentless assaults on Sidious. The Sith Lord struggled to keep up, his defenses weakening under the new ferocity of Anakin's strikes. Inch by inch, Anakin drove Sidious back toward the window, and with a final, desperate lunge, Anakin disarmed Sidious and sent him flailing to the floor. He looked up at Anakin, begging for mercy. Anakin rose his blue saber as Sidious lay in the corner of the window, and with that, Anakin swung down, killing the Sith Lord. And a moment later, Anakin was once again thrown through time. The future he was just in was unwinding, the Empire seemingly coming undone, the Sith not rising, the Jedi never falling. Everything was being put back into place, and suddenly, Anakin was returned to the Clone Wars in his original body. But he was in the same place where he just was, only this time, he looked to see Mace Windu standing over Darth Sidious in the window. Sidious blasted lightning at Windu, saying that Anakin must choose, saying only he could save the one that Anakin loves. And Anakin remembered the tomb. He remembered Vader. He remembered the Empire. He remembered it all. Anakin Skywalker ignited his lightsaber and cut through Darth Sidious. It all felt like a dream. One moment, Anakin was on Mortis. Then he was 10 years into the future. He had to learn why he must destroy the Sith in order to set his destiny back on track and return to the present. And he was immediately given a test. Choose the Jedi or the Sith. And Anakin chose the light side, avoiding the future that he visited. From here, Anakin went on to be made a Jedi Master, as he trained Ahsoka basically to knighthood, and killed both of the Sith. He went on to find Padme, and she gave a healthy birth to twins, Luke and Leia. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka would often visit him, Padme and the twins, as they rejoiced in the end of the war. The Republic saw Sidious's corruption and accepted that he was part of the Separatists, rebuilding the Republic with Bail Organa as Chancellor. And Anakin was allowed to stay in the Order despite having a wife, as the Jedi saw him stay true to the light in the face of darkness. Anakin Skywalker went on to live a happy life in his renewed destiny, the life he knew Darth Vader only dreamt of. And folks, that's where our story ends today. I hope you enjoyed. Please do let me know. It was different than really ever, so I do hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.